Let's kick off with some other requests. We've got quite a few here. The next one is from Peter. Peter wants to know about Capitec. Now remember, this is one of the darlings of the market. In actual fact, we mentioned Naspers and Prosus earlier on last week's show, but now Capitec is just one of those counters that can just go up and up and up and up. In actual fact, I had a guy on Twitter say to me, listen, Frans, I'm actually nervous about the stock because I've been so wrong. I maybe didn't want to buy it, but the share is just going up. Now, this is exactly the case, and it's also a good question that, and that means sometimes you get shares, and I've mentioned it on the show before, sometimes you do get shares that do not follow technical analysis. You see candles, but it just goes up. You see trend lines, it needs to be broken, but it just goes up. Now, if you look at the share here, look at just Naspers, just from this year, April, I mean, this is 3 months. It goes from 1,300 Rand to 1,700 Rand. Now, that's almost a 30% growth in the share price. Suddenly what we see is, and I think it was during this day, I actually tweeted that day, the 2nd of June, do we see maybe let's call it a evening star formation? And what happens is sometimes, as you know now that I've said, that sometimes shares just ignore the candles and ignore the technicals. You sometimes get disappointed. What I've then I always look at a few candles. And I sometimes look at one specific candle just to give me a guideline on the very short term. I like to look at a few candles. Now, what do we see? From about the 21st of May, every time that you see a candle, there's like almost a higher upper shadow there. Look at that. Long upper shadow. Long upper shadow. Long upper shadow. And then suddenly, you see this beautiful, strong bullish candle. It's a shaven top. And then right at the top, you see this little harami. But this is nice. This is a possible hammer hitting out the highs. And then since then, bearish engulfing candle. Another one, belt outline candle. But what do I like here is, when you see these long upper shadows that you see here, suddenly you see one here as well. Now, and if you now look at this, and this is quite important to look at, what do we see? I just want to draw a line in there. I want to combine, let's say, that upper shadow there with that one. And if I use another line, now you will get the story here. Yeah. What happens? In this band, look at all these long upper shadows. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And suddenly this one appeared a few days later, also in this band. That tells you that there's some sellers around this level. And the level is between 1,660 and 1,700 Rand. And what I also like about this chart now, because suddenly it shows us a few things. There's the beautiful uptrend. Everything went 100%. Nothing pushed the share down. And suddenly this beautiful support line confirms the medium-term uptrend has been broken. And since then, we've seen some selling. What is the crucial factor here? The crucial point here is share must remain below this high, and that low is sitting at 1,737 Rand and 49 cents. That's the top of that candle. While it is below that, you can say that we can trust these candles. We can maybe see some lower highs, but Peter, the big thing is, look at it, we need to get below this candle. And I'm going to show you where it is. It's the low of the strong bullish candle that we saw, there you are, that we saw on the 21st of June, because it suddenly bounced up, and we need to see this now coming down, and then we can say we've got a high, we've got the lower high, and the lower low, and that means that the trend wants to change. At the moment, it's that first warning sign. So yes, Peter, I don't know if you want to buy or sell, that I don't know, but what I want to say is that it broke its trend line. I'll be nervous while it is below this level of 1,737.49 and be very careful on the stock, the 1,585.10. Because if you look at it, I just want to take it 1 point further. Let's just show you how this share looks like over medium to long term. And then you will immediately see that I'm nervous on the stock. This is a weekly chart, a weekly line chart. And I just zoom it out a little bit. Look at it. Since May 2020, from 800 Rand to 1700 Rand, it doubled in price. But what do we see now? The crucial level, and it's good that I'm seeing this now, sorry, is that if this line, that's the 40-week moving average. That's a strong moving average. Look what we see here. This is a weekly chart. Every time that it gets close to that, it bounces off this line, it bounces off that line. There was a little bit of a period where the share couldn't make its mind up. Then from there, it bounced up. So that is the test now. And on a weekly chart, below 1,597 Rand and 20 cents, the momentum can swing down. This 40-week moving average can turn into a resistance, and that will be seen as negative. Let's look at the lovely darling of everybody is Bitcoin. Suddenly Bitcoin is messing around with everybody's pocket. I never bought it, and I had a joke that somebody wanted to buy our little town because Bitcoin went all the way up to that $64,000 level. Now let's just look at Bitcoin. This is now a weekly chart. Can you see this spike? Just ignore that. I think that is just a fat finger. Let's look at this. While Bitcoin is below this level, and remember this is now a weekly chart. I just want to give you this level. There you are. Here's the important line. While it is below $33,470, it can easily go down, and this chart will only be updated later today. Last night, Bitcoin dropped below $30,000. So just be careful. We see high, a lower high, lower highs right across through. It makes me a little bit nervous on Bitcoin. Let's go to Sandy's request, and that's harmony. Well, the gold counters, as Christelle rightly said the other day, she said the gold shares, what they did was they just gave us some little bit of a hope, and then suddenly they just go a little bit lower. So it's all just one way. Can you believe it? Harmony share just a few days ago, that was on the 17th of May, it gave us this tweezer top. And you see that beautiful illustration there of a tweezer top. Upper shadow, beautiful tweezer top, and then suddenly you just see one ugly sell-off all the way from 80 Rand, 56 Rand, 81. Even this candle here, can you believe it? Look at that candle there. Even this beautiful dragonfly doji that usually calls for a little bit of a recovery or maybe a bounce in the share price was just wiped off the table with one candle up and then gone. And even the day on the 22nd of June, gave us an ugly shaven bottom candle. That's just negative. That just tells you that the share wants to go down. So Sandy, I'm a little bit nervous on the stock. It looks like that the share is still under pressure. I just want to see if there's not a gap there. Oh yes, that gap was closed. Sandy, if it breaks below this line, below that 56 Rand, 47 Rand, it can actually go and find this low here. That was the low of the 18th of February 2021. Now that low is sitting at 54 Rand 10 cents. So this dragonfly doji, although it means that there was some buyers, it's actually been tested now. So first thing, it must stay above this little line here. That's the low of that dragonfly doji. I just want to draw it in for you. There you are. And look what this trend is telling us. That's the big thing here. The trend is telling us all the way down. It's just showing that there's some sellers around here. I just want to point it out to you. There you are. Look at it. There's the resistance line. It tried to break it there, but since then, just down all the way. So if you want to see a bounce in the share price, it needs to get above 59.53. So buy above 59.53, make use of a stop loss of 56.47, or otherwise wait for it to go back to test this low at 54 and 10 cents and see if it can find some support. Let's have a look at PPC. EPC. A friend of mine, Babu, he phoned me. He said to me, listen, Frans, I bought a lot of these shares at much lower levels, and I think it's maybe time to just lock in some profits. And he mentioned a nice word. He said, the share treated me so well. I'm happy with my profit. I think it can maybe go higher, but I'm happy to lock it in. So that is, he's not greedy. He's happy to take his profit. Now, what do we see here? I immediately see, and the moment I do that, you guys will see what I see. I see a head and shoulder formation. There's the left shoulder. There's the head. And we're working on the right shoulder now. And where's the neckline? The neckline is sitting on this line, R2.95. If it breaks below R2.95, the share can easily give us a bit of a sell-off. There you are. I just want to get the projection there. If it breaks below R2.95, it can easily take the share down to R2.41. So my friend Babu, he will probably wait for R2.41 to maybe buy some back in. But this right shoulder, it's been tested at the moment because the high of this right shoulder was at R3.31. And on the day of the 22nd, it went as high as R3.44. So it looks like somebody is trying to see if they can wipe off this right shoulder. For me, it will be a right shoulder until this share can maybe easily close above R3.31 and remain above that. But for the moment, below R2.95, I'm a little bit nervous because the share just had a wonderful rally. So thank you for watching the show. Visit our website, www.fransdeclercq, for more info, and we will chat again.